Welcome to Cooking with Sun King. My name's David Attenborough, and we are going to make Detroit-style pizza. Follow along, won't you?
Hi everyone, it's me, Chef Steven. Hello. We are back, of course, at the beautiful signature table, the Fisher Test Kitchen, with our great friends from Green Bean Delivery to present to you another wonderful episode of Cooking with Sun King. Today we are featuring Fistful of Haze. So today we are going to make Detroit-style pizza. Yeah, that Detroit-style pizza. The pizza that is sweeping the internet. All of the pizza restaurants want to have it. It's actually been around for about 70 years. Of course, from originally Detroit. We can talk about that in a little bit, but we're gonna use Fistful of Haze in the dough and in our tomato sauce. And if you've noticed and seen these cans around, there's another can hidden under there. We like to call it the CANdemic. 2020, a lot of people were packaging beer, as we were, and there was a little bit of an aluminum shortage. So we were able to take all of our wonderful surplus of cans that we had and just relabel them. So there is nothing wrong with the beer inside. We didn't take old beer out and put new beer in. These were just fresh cans that had never been used. And so we put a brand new sexy label on them. So they might look a little different, but the beer inside is just as fresh and delicious. Yeah, and you might be seeing other things that we've slapped labels on, but it is the exact same situation. So to start, this is all by weight. We really want to make sure, especially when we are baking, that we do everything by weight. So grab your kitchen scale. I've already pre-measured everything, but we are going to start with some yeast. 5 grams, doesn't seem like much. And when we think of Detroit style, we think of maybe just way too much crust. But the dough isn't going to be the kind of the star of this. It really is all about the topping. So just 5 grams of yeast. We've got 220 grams by weight of our Fistful of Haze. And we're going to take advantage of that wonderful citrusy hoppiness and just that bright flavor. And then we have 300 grams by weight of 00 pizza flour. So you've probably seen it used by lots of chefs. It is becoming much easier to get. Of course, you can get this at Green Bean Delivery. Just a little bit of salt, 9 grams. And that, of course, will slow the rise of our yeast. If we didn't put any salt in there, A, our pizza crust would taste terrible, and B, it would just kind of bubble up all over the place. So I'm going to mix this by hand. You can also do this in a food processor or stand mixer. And we really just need to combine this because we're gonna do a really cool aging technique. And you might see that this dough looks a little wetter than most, and we want that. So these higher hydration doughs are perfect for that perfect, like big, beautiful, bubbly crust. And we really just want to knead this for just a couple of minutes until it all comes together. What we're going to do instead of kneading this for forever is just knead it for a couple of minutes until it comes together. We're going to use this really neat technique that the sourdough folks use called autolyse. And that really just means that we're going to help our gluten development with time as opposed to work. So you can let this sit for a minimum 2 hours. So to make our sauce, we want to take a little bit of olive oil. Nothing super fancy, we're just looking for a couple of tablespoons here, just enough to coat the bottom of our saucepan. And while this oil warms up, we want to bloom our dried spices. This allows them to, of course, carry their flavor through a little faster. So we've got some crushed red pepper flakes, just a dash, honestly, just as much as you're comfortable with. Obviously, if you like things a little spicier, you can add more. If you don't, just admit them all together. 2 teaspoons of oregano, about a tablespoon of garlic powder or granular garlic. I like the granular stuff as opposed to the powder, has a little better flavor. Same thing, only half, so half a tablespoon of onion powder. We're just gonna toast these up for just about 2 minutes, really, and just until they're fragrant. We wanna be able to smell them. So now that our spices are bloomed, everything's starting to warm up, we're going to add just about 4 ounces of our Fistful of Haze into this as well. So we already have it in the dough. Now we have it in our sauce, and we can bring this to the simmer and reduce it just a little bit. Because this is an IPA, we don't want to reduce it too far. The little bit of bitter that is there will expand quite a bit if we're not careful. So we just want to burn off a little bit of the alcohol and warm everything up. So to finish this, we're gonna let this go for just a little bit longer. We gotta add just a nice tablespoon of sugar. Gonna also help us cut the acidity of those tomatoes. And this are some really great local folks foods right here from in the Midwest. These are just diced tomatoes. You can puree these in a food processor if you wish. I'm gonna leave it nice and chunky. I got a really nice dice to them, so they're not huge. And we just wanna let this kind of simmer for about 10 minutes or so, and then we can use it on our pizza. Just wanna do it until it thickens up just a little bit more, and we'll be ready to go. So our sauce is ready. Our dough has rested. I do wanna touch on that just one more time. with kind of the time versus, I guess, kneading kind of situation. The longer you can let that dough sit, if you let it sit a full 24 hours in your refrigerator, make sure obviously to bring it out at least an hour and a half before you're actually going to use it. Room temperature dough is going to work so much better when you're stretching it than super, super cold. So we have our dough ready to go in our pan. We've lightly olive oiled it. For my bakers out there, we're kind of doing like a focaccia. And so we want just a light little bit of oil right over the top. And this should be very easy to stretch. If it isn't, come back in about 10 or 15 minutes, try it again, and take your time with it. I promise you will be rewarded. And so we just want to gently stretch this corner to corner, and you can just use that. Just try to take it easy. Don't try to force it. The push technique works really well. Just use your fingertips to kind of guide it in there. And this is where we get to have our fun. So you're saying, Stephen, I can already hear you. This doesn't look like very much dough. And to me personally, Detroit style pizza is always about the toppings. It's the amount. We're looking at almost 10, 22, 14, a lot. It's a lot. It's almost like 2.5, it's like a little over 2 pounds of toppings for our little dough here. And trust me, it'll bubble up and kind of hold everything, so you won't feel like you're just eating like a toppings pizza with a little bit of crust. It'll all work out perfectly. But we've got just the super classic double pepperoni today. So we're gonna take some pizza flavored. This is actually really fun. Wood-fired pizza flavored cheese curds from Crystal Springs Creamery. This is 12 ounces. And I also have like 12 ounces of cubed. This is also kind of important, whole milk mozzarella. The drier the better. Don't use the fresh stuff here. Don't use the grated stuff here because this is running at such a high temperature. By the time this melts and gets brown and delicious, everything will be cooked and ready to go. And you're also probably saying, Stephen, you have too much cheese. I've got a second crust. I do have a second crust because I'm a fat kid at heart, and I'm gonna make myself a second pizza because this is absolutely one of my favorite things. I also have a second pan. You can find these pans on Amazon from the great people at Lloyd Pans. They've got all sorts of sizes. If you honestly just type in Detroit style pizza pan, this will be the first thing that comes up. They come already seasoned. And you just have to make sure to not ever put them in your dishwasher. So we're gonna combine our cheese curds with our mozzarella. Yeah, so that's actually a good point. The sauce for this recipe is enough for 2 pizzas. So I guess I'll probably just go through before I send this recipe off, and I'll actually just make this whole thing for 2 pizzas. Then you can just feed a crowd and have a lot of fun. But first, we've got 5 ounces of Organic Valley uncured pepperoni. We're gonna lay all 5 of those down first. Again, we're doing 10 ounces of pepperoni per pizza, 12 ounces of cheese per pizza, and like 14 ounces of sauce. And so you're gonna go edge to edge with everything. And as this pizza kind of bakes up, that cheese is gonna go around the corners and create the most beautiful cheese crown you've ever seen in your entire life. That's our first 5 ounces. Cover it as much as you can. And then we're gonna go in with all our cheese. So this is half of my cheese, and literally just take it everywhere. We wanna go edge to edge. Again, just because we want that beautiful cheese crown, and of course, all of that gooey deliciousness. And you also might be saying, Stephen, that doesn't look like enough cheese considering you're putting 12 ounces on there, but it will melt, become super delicious. We'll go in with the other 5 ounces of pepperoni right on top. This you can be a little more decorative if you want. We still have our sauce to put on, and this is also unique to the Detroit style as well. I like to do 2 lines. You can do 3, you can do 4, but the idea is that we're gonna let some of this pepperoni crisp up and let everything kind of combine. So I just like to do 2 nice thick lines. Whoa. On either side. Is all she wrote. We will go into our oven. As previously mentioned, 6 to 8 minutes at the very bottom of your oven, and then 6 to 8 minutes at the very top. You'll know this pizza is done when everything is bubbly and delicious and all of your cheese is golden brown and awesome. Cheers, let's go to the oven. So as those came out of the oven, we let them rest for about 5 to 6 minutes. And then I normally like to transfer them straight to a wire rack for another 5 to 6 minutes. And then you can enjoy. Cut these into whatever size piece you want. I would say 8 minimum. If you're sharing and doing a whole bunch of these for your friends, you can go all the way up to 12. Just cut it right down the center and then just kind of pop it off in little pieces. But that was our Detroit style pizza featuring Fistful of Haze, both in the crust and in the tomato sauce, with all of that delicious cheese curds and pepperoni from our good friends at Green Bean. And I think that's it for today. As always, we want to thank all of you for following along. If you're hanging out there in all of those other worlds except for YouTube, go ahead and head over. Hit those like and subscribe buttons for us. It makes Alex smile every single time that you hit that button. If you're looking for recipes for this and everything else that we've done, go to greenbeandelivery.com/blog. And of course, as always, we want to thank them and our great friends here at the Signature Table at Fisher's Test Kitchen. And that was our delicious pizza. Go home and make them. They're a lot of fun. Have a great one. Cheers.